Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the program. Another episode awaits, and today it's a big one. Today I'm going to give you a album review as well as a speaker review. Today we're doing an album spotlight on Dolores Annette Funicello's Beach Party. So today I just want to showcase this little fun gem that I came across and had been in my collection of want list items on my Discogs for quite a long time, and then I finally found it in the Cape, on Cape Cod, and I had to pick it up. I couldn't, it was overpriced in the shop, but I had to pick this gem up. And in listening to it, I really began to really enjoy the vibe of this album. It's a vibe for me. All of its little, phony little, it's got that kitschy 60s value to it. It's kind of corny and, in the genre of surf and soundtrack, as this was based off the Beach Party movie. This was released in 1963 by Buena Vista Records, and Annette was under that umbrella due to her success with Disney songs that she had done in the past. You might know songs like The Monkey's Uncle and, Tall Paul are all songs written by the Sherman Brothers, and she sang them. And her voice is exquisite. I love her voice. And the instrumentation is serious enough to get by as a real sincere album. A real, not just completely kitschy, off the wall kitschy. It's got some values to it that keep it to be a serious album. A real staple for summer and for me at least. This album has a total of 3 standout hits, typical for any album that's going to be worth its weight in any way is to have at least 2 or 3 singles on this that are going to be played in rotation on the radio and whatnot during that decade. On here we've got Beach Party, that song, fantastic. Then we've got Treat Him Nicely, which is a cover, but also her voice on it is fantastic. That's perhaps the version I think I've heard on the radio. You've got on here Secret Surfin' Spot, which is just gets in your head as a little earworm there. It's all upbeat, poppy, sunrise, sunshine pop of the summer of this 1963 era. The Annette's Beach Party album I picked up down the Cape in Cape Cod is nothing but quiet. It's exceptionally quiet. It's got no pops, no clicks. It's like brand new, and I'm happy I paid the $25 that I paid for it when I could have gotten it for maybe like, 15, 18, depending online. But who likes to buy online when you can get something in the wild and just pick it up and clean it up when you get home and play it? That is just nothing like it. I love it. One of these songs on here kind of has like a cha-cha feel to it, and I love that kind of 60s cha-cha music. And with her voice accompanying the big brass of that arrangement and that bossa nova beat, I love it so much. It's great. And I just figured I'd showcase this as a kind of pop standout record in my collection because it's just excellent for summer. And it made me feel amazing when I hear it. It makes me feel upbeat, up tempo, and it gets me going. I love it. I always think you can get me going really good with that genre of music if the singer is really good. If they're not so good of a singer and it's got that kitschy 60s vibe, it could just come off as corny and cheesy, to be honest with you. She could whisper and bring it down in songs like Treat Him Gently, but she can bring it up and make it a real big party in the songs like Beach Party, just songs like that. She can make it, she was really young at the time, and her style and her fame could be comparable to today's, Madonna and Britney Spears, and what we know today for female singers of our era is comparable to that fame that she had back then in the 60s. So she was just everywhere. She was popular, and she was in a lot of Disney stuff. So I love Disney, as you all know. So, Disney tie-in somewhere is there. So I love this record. I think everybody should check it out. You got to just check out a few of the songs, especially Pineapple Princess. I love that song. It's just so catchy and so good. It's so simple. It reminds me of the Sherman Brothers songs, the songs that they would create for such movies as Winnie the Pooh or Mary Poppins. Just simple lyrics with the most earworm melody that's gonna get into your brain, and you'll think about it all day, and you'll just be singing it constantly. And I love Pineapple Princess, and I love Beach Party. I love Treat Him Gently. Those songs are great. And then, California Sun. We've got the Battle of Sarah Onofre, a little uh, spoken word sort of instrumental type of song that goes into some large backing vocals that are just coming into the fray there as Annette is talking over it. And it's kind of telling you a story about them going skin diving and doing all sorts of stuff like that, and the battle and how it was. There was many a bloody nose, as she says. A standoff between two guys fighting over a girl, as I could probably surmise. Again, this is new to me, and I just have started listening to it. But this album just has so many standout hits for me. Just these tracks that if you're driving down to the Cape, if you're driving down to the shore, you pop this on and you feel like this is summer now. Okay, so I'm getting psyched for my vacation. This is just Pineapple Princess. Just I love that song. So I would highly recommend you guys check out this album. Just wanted to give that a little spotlight. Check out this album if you love summer. If you love, kitschy '60s type of summer pop tunes, you're gonna love this album. So give that a nice check out when you can. I wanted to keep this brief. This is a brief speaker review for the Bose 501 in the vintage series. This came out in the very early 70s. I want to say 1970 or 71. These came out, and these were the Wave 1, the first wave of these. There's multiple waves. They came out and improved later on, but they've got multi-directional sound, meaning that there's tweeters on the top. There's tweeters on the top of these, of the faces of the speaker itself that point outward toward the left and the right, and they're supposed to bounce off the walls and come to you sitting, whatever, 6 feet away or 10 feet away, whatever it may be. So it's supposed to bounce upward too, so it's got some in the back. It's got tweeters all around it mostly, except for one side doesn't, the back. So everything else has tweeters, so it's got like 2 sets on each side, so they bounce, and it's supposed to reflect. And it does. Once you set this up correctly, once you set them up to the right angle of your space in your room, you will begin to hear that multi-directional stereophonic sound, and it is so good. It sounds like you've got headphones on, but you don't. You're just listening, and you don't have the hassle of having headphones. They're right there. It's right there. The music is beautiful. Although these are very, very prominent in the mid-range, they've got beautiful tweeters for the high end and a serviceable bass for the bass. It does get lost a little bit. We've got a muddy bass with these. It's a very muddy playing field in the bass region because that mid is so high. The mids are so prominent in these speakers that the mid and the bass get muddled together. And then all you hear is just a lot of top end, a lot of treble, and then a lot of mid. So that's just how it is. And I absolutely love it. There was a point where I switched these out for my Sonys that I had beforehand, and I'm sitting here listening, and at some points I forget that I even switched them out there because I loved my Sonys. They were great, and these have the exact same capability, same loudness. They're not as big of a wattage, but you just turn that up a little bit more on your receiver and you're good. You got the same amount of volume. And they pack a punch, it doesn't get lost. This was in an era when Bose was still an audiophile brand at the very beginning. They were gearing toward getting the buyer the most exceptional sound quality of its time. And people nowadays, they say no highs, no lows, it must be Bose. Well, that is not the case for these, I must say. It's not the case at all. They have a high frequency in the treble and a really good low section, but not as serviceable as I would appreciate, even though I love these so much. All I have to do is turn my bass up on my receiver just a tiny bit. There you go, or down depending on what you're listening to. So older music didn't have as much bass pressed to the recording. So basically what you do is, for older recordings, I like to turn the bass up a little bit. And for newer recordings that have that big bass sound and the bass has been pushed up in the mix when pressed to vinyl, then you turn it down a little bit, the bass. But the treble in all reality stays the same. I keep it in the center or one up or down depending, but never all over the place. I'm never turning it halfway, never turning it halfway to the left or right. It's just in the center. The treble is immaculate on this, and it stands out in a room. It doesn't get lost, and it does have that multi-directional sound stage, which is just a innovation of its time. I really enjoy that, and I'm happy to have it. So I like the design of this. I like the front. It's very mid-century modern, that Ames type of style, smooth, straight lines, not a big, not a big profile, hulking profile in these. They are kind of subdued. They've got that nice cherry wood side finish and top, and they've got these fabric sort of 60s panels that wrap around the entire sides, except for the back. And I love them. I've put them on my stands that I've made, and I've risen them up a tiny bit. They're probably about 6 inches off the ground, and that just makes for an even better listening experience. You're not supposed to have these flush up against the wall in any way. You're supposed to have at least 6 inches from the back wall so that they're able to bounce. And that's what I've got. You could turn them, you could twist them depending on your space. I would highly recommend. A lot of people post these reviews about Bose 501 speakers. They've posted reviews I've seen. I did my research beforehand, and I took a leap. I said, I'll sacrifice the Sonys. I gave them to my brother-in-law, and he enjoys them, and I'm happy that they have a new home. But these are getting highly enjoyed here with high volumes. So if you're in the market for some retro speakers, Bose, early Bose is the way to go. You can't go wrong with them. So I love them. Maybe down the road, I haven't really experienced Bose all that much. I had got a pair of headphones, and I had like that dock that you put your iPod on back in the day in the early 2000s. I had that little black dock. But it was always great sound for me. I know my fiance loves Bose, and I do too, especially vintage Bose, because they were gearing towards the audiophile, the person who wants that great, exceptional, crystal clear audio representation for their setup. I was fixated on getting them in any way possible. I had to get them because I wanted to try them out, and I wanted something new. Us audio people, we always want to up the ante a little bit, make it something fresh and new, but also, for me, vintage. So this has that vintage flair while also being something new to me that I haven't experienced, to have that sort of sound quality. Although these are shorter units, they pack the same punch that the Sonys did. Happy I made the purchase, happy I made the trade-off, and happy that the Sonys have a new home and are being enjoyed by my brother-in-law Paul. I want to thank you guys kindly for watching the video. If you want to like and subscribe, and leave a comment down below as to what you think of Annette's Beach Party, Annette Funicello, Disneyland Records, or anything about these speakers. I'd really appreciate a comment, whatever you think about it. You let me know down below, and join in on the conversation. And until next time, you could find me lounging to a melody. Take care, folks, and enjoy the holiday. thank you for tuning in for this episode. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Manzamedia Art and Manzamedia on every other platform. If you like prints, I have an Etsy shop if you want to buy some of my original artwork and fan artwork. I encourage you to like and subscribe and give it a big thumbs up. Thank you.